Bounce back in style, with a little help from the opposition, who very decently presented John Thomas with the chance to score on his debut. Just before the transfer deadline, Poole had turned down £150,000 for Paul Dalton, and the flying winger wiped away any lingering doubts. A brilliant breakaway goal coming up here, and it might have upped the fee a fair bit if he'd scored it last weekend. But struggling Shrewsbury were determined to make a game of it into the second half when Kevin Bremner took a return ball to find an equaliser. There was some real quality entertainment being dished up. Young sub Steve Fletcher produced a spectacular goal to restore Poole's lead. And there was a happy ending too. John Tinkler is fouled in the box, and the chance of sealing Poole's fourth win in 5 games went to new signing Lenny John Rose, his first goal on a plate.
Hartlepool were one of the few clubs who knew they'd have to master a firm pitch yesterday, even if there wasn't any frost around. Preston's plastic surface has many critics, but Paul Baker wasn't complaining. He gets the bounce and strides away to finish with confidence in the 11th minute. 7 minutes later, he turned provider for Paul Dalton. He manages to turn the defender and go all the way for glory. Another great finish, and Poole go 2 up. Some strong running coming up from Steve Tupling to create the third, and Baker's second. A perfect cross and excellent header puts the game out of Preston's reach. That was seconds after the break, and this was only 3 minutes later. A great ball from Brian Honour. Baker's hat-trick is blocked by the keeper, but on loan David Johnson picks up the rebound. One consolation for the home side on its way, and it was worth waiting for. Lee Ashcroft cuts back inside and hits a cracker past Martin Hodge. But the final score, 4-1 to Poole. A record to Elm Park and made it even better. Mick Gooding's cross put them under early pressure, but when Rob McKinnon and Craig Maskell tangled, Martin Hodge cleared. The keeper was soon in action again, defender Adrian Williams getting in a powerful header, which he tipped over the top. Poole went in front soon after the break though. Brian Honour sends in the cross, Paul Dalton heads it on, and top scorer Paul Baker was unmarked at the far side of the box to take his tally for the season to a dozen. They were hardly slaying Reading, but the Santas seemed happy enough. Paul Olsen started the next good move by releasing David Johnson, and when he crossed, Baker was again in space at the far side, but this time he blazed his shot high and wide of the target. He keeps his head to nod Poole in front. There were loud appeals for offside, but the linesman kept his flag down as the home fans put their hands together for Southall. They carried the lead into the second half, but Martin Hodge had to be on his toes to block Bradford's fight back. Paul Jewell firing in that shot. Poole almost brought about their own downfall. The keeper's clearance is knocked straight back in by Dean Emerson, and Sean McCarthy should really have grabbed the chance with both hands. Instead, Hodge saved the day, and Jewell couldn't make anything of Bradford's second bite at the cherry. Hodge, who took that early bath last week, was staying the distance this time and proving his worth. But there's no way you can say the same about his opposite number, Paul Tomlinson. Just watch this howler after Paul Ratton's long-range shot. He actually kicked it in himself, but all the credit goes to Ratton. The 19-year-old from Teesside was making his full league debut for Poole. Murray's side almost made it 3 when Emerson played this great ball out to Southall. His first time effort at full stretch smacks against the post, and the teenager can't believe his luck. Brian Honour couldn't believe his when the ball bounced perfectly to launch yet another assault on the Bradford goal. He was just inches away from the woodwork this time. He sauntered away, but was soon at the centre of what turned out to be an ugly incident. Bradford's Paul Reed is out on the left, robbed by Paul Olsen and challenged by Honour. A solid tackle, but that brought a vicious response. Play went on, but not for long, and we can show you why in slow motion. Watch how Reed stamps on Honour while he lies on the ground. Line pace setters. Poole are really fired up these days, and skipper Dean Emerson's leading by example. His free kick is perfect for Ryan Cross. His header couldn't have been better placed. It's a long way to Bournemouth, but the diehards and Cross had plenty to celebrate. Andy Saville almost made their travels complete when he ran on to Nicky Southall's through ball, but he just missed the target. He did, however, carve out a second chance in the final minute. He escapes from two defenders before firing it through keeper Vince Bartram. 2-0 to Poole, and how's about that then? When Hartlepool went a goal down. John McPhail's clearance only reached Chris Macon. He smashed the volley past Martin Hodge. But Alan Murray's side are determined to maintain their unbeaten start to the season, and this was a classic example of switching from defence to attack. Andy Saville was involved as the ball found Nicky Southall on the right. The number 11 crossed for Lenny Johnrose. He confused keeper Nigel Adkins, and Saville made the ground to waltz round the defenders and slide home the equaliser. Wigan's second, though, had last week's hero Hodge in real trouble. The big keeper rose above Alan Johnson, but fisted the ball into his own net. Still, Hartlepool refused to lie down, and with just seconds on the clock, they began a great build-up which led to the equaliser. John Rose worked a neat move with substitute Paul Proudlock on the left, and when he crossed from the byline, Saville was at the near post to guide the ball past Adkins. A point for Poole. They're now 6th in the table. Their first was finished off by Lenny Johnrose, a great header after constant pressure. That levelled the scores after Bolton had taken the lead, and the winner came 10 minutes from time. Andy Saville with the simplest of tasks, right in front of goal.
Fans who hung on through the goal drought first had to admire Frank Talia's agility when he turned away David Ayres' free kick. But 5 minutes into the second half, there was still no light in the tunnel when Phil Horner placed his header beyond the keeper's reach to put Blackpool ahead. That sparked the magic moment, though, a minute or so later. Now savour this. Brian Honour, that midfield workaholic, has kept on battling through it all. He finds Andy Saville, a clever dummy, and so cool a finish. Pressure? What pressure? 1,227 minutes since Saville's and Poole's last goal. Well, wouldn't you go crazy? Mind you, that goal didn't kill off all the team's bad luck. Nicky Southall must have felt the curse was still there when he shook the upright. Worse was still to come for Southall, though. This late tackle on Andy Gauk earned him a red card for a second bookable offence. But nothing could take the headlines away from goal ace Andy Saville. Daniels headed the home side into the lead on the hour. But Hartlepool was soon level. Brian Honour's corner giving David Rush a chance, and though his shot appeared to hit Andy Cook's face, it was a penalty. Exeter boss Alan Ball not too happy. Paul Baker was, though. He stroked his 4th goal of the season into the net. After that, Paul's determination to hang on for the point never flagged. Hartlepool at the moment, Alan Murray's hit squad had Wigan on the floor after 5 minutes. Brian Honour in the thick of it as usual. A couple of minutes later, Gabbiadini Jr. crossed for Paul Olsen to head against the bar, but Paul Dalton wasn't letting anyone off the hook. It was 3 with only 12 minutes gone. Paul Baker as productive as ever, and Dalton on hand once more. Then Poole quite calmly did their best to give the game away. Gary Powell kept Wigan hopes alive. But it wasn't till the start of the second half that the revival really got going. Martin Hodge dropped more than just the ball, and a nice little earner for Daly coming up. Phil, that is. 8 minutes later, Daly Enterprises were in profit again. Wigan level, and Hartlepool in a right to an 8. But Poole finished as they started, in the grand style. Rob McKinnon with a real net burster to save the team from criminal charges. Still kept Poole's on the right course.
It didn't take long for this match to burst into life. 5 minutes gone and Martin Hodge takes out Andy Kennedy on the edge of the box. The referee gave a penalty, but as our replay clearly shows, the contact was outside the area. Hodge got his marching orders for a professional foul, and Poole were down to 10 men with 85 minutes left on the clock. The green jersey was handed to John McPhail, and what an inspired decision that was. Ian Chapman with a spot kick, McPhail with a brilliant diving save to his left. Mind you, if you thought that was impressive, watch this. Paul McCarthy's header tipped round the post by the stand-in. McPhail's known as Monty by the troops. Now we know why. Jimmy Montgomery would have been proud of this first half performance. In fact, the big centre-half just failed to keep a clean sheet. Steve Foster sticking out a leg to eventually put Brighton in front. But the drama wasn't over. Two Sunderland old boys meet head-on. when McPhail gets the better of Clive Walker. Poole deserved to get a point for all the effort they'd put in after the early setback, and they got their just reward with a Brian Honour special in the dying seconds. An excellent result for Alan Murray's side in the circumstances. Monty's magic and Honour's heroics earn a vital point.
As they provided the only ray of cup sunshine. Doncaster had taken the lead before Lenny John Rose took advantage of a defensive error to put them level. A penalty 4 minutes from time, confidently struck by Andy Saville, saw Hartlepool through to that home tie with Southport.
Dazzling performance. Paul Olsen had started this move. Now watch him get on the end of Brian Honour's inch-perfect through ball. The keeper, no chance. Follow that, and they did. Because if that was good, the next goal was even better. David Johnson flicks on the free kick, and Paul Dalton's power volley, a classic. 2-0, in what style? Before half-time, it became a hat-trick of Paul's. The Baker line this time, sending Shrewsbury down the tubes. No return ticket for the home side, who were looking relegation candidates on this showing. Some crazy capers in front of goal nearly brought them some way back, but Poole were making their own luck. Steve Toppling nearly got a slice of it, but the deflection found the outside of the netting. But it was Toppling who had two hands in Poole's fourth. Stand by for another top-class strike from Olsen. But an appalling afternoon for Shrewsbury produced one bright moment. A debut goal for O'Neill Donaldson. Oh no, Shrewsbury. And oh yes, Hartlepool.